Hi guys, I'm Rachel Chambers. I am an international educator for Colors by Gina, and I'm here to show you a really quick kind of technique of making someone that icy white. I'm using a mannequin here that has existing highlights. And so this is a quick, easy technique that you can do for your clients to either maintain their blondes, or if they're a new client and they're wanting to transition into that whiter, icier blonde, we have to get them to a level 9 pale yellow. So that means, if you've heard the term before, inside of banana, not outside of banana. So there needs to be very, very little yellow contributing to the hair at all for a icy white formulation to work. That's the first and foremost step. This is really color correction. And so with mannequin hair, it's kind of hard to achieve, but we're gonna do our best here. And so if I can make icy white blonde hair for a mannequin, then you can definitely do it easier on a client. But really, like, getting the perfect base is going to be the most important step of that. So I'm going to show you kind of my tips and tricks to show you exactly when the lightener is done working, when you've achieved the perfect level. And I'm going to show you a quick, easy kind of pop for facial framing that you can easily implement behind the chair in about 5 foils. So this is working with existing foils, existing clients that are already blonde, and kind of going that way forward. This is going to give you a thicker consistency, which I like to use. It helps the foil grip, but you can use this to your discretion if you want to mix it 1:1, or if you want to mix it 1 to 1.5 or 1 to 2. Those are all ratios that are okay. It's just going to be your preference, and I like my lightener just a little bit on the thick side. Okay, so I'm going to start getting my sectioned out. So you can see here she has some existing foils already, which most of our clients, if this is for a new client or for a client that you already have but is wanting, a little bit different look, you can see that she's pretty solid through here. And most of my clientele gets more of a rooted balayage. So what I'm going to do is actually just give this a little bit of a tease. And we're going to do a little bit of a dry balayage with our 5 volume. So this is going to just help brighten those existing blonde pieces and take them up to that level 9, almost to 10, which is it's not really possible to get a 10 in lightening hair. If you go to a 10 where it is white, it is most likely compromised the hair, and you are going to get a very negative result because that hair is going to live more on the floor than it is on the person's head. So you want to be very careful with this. Like I said, featuring the Biogen complex, that's going to help to protect the hair fiber. But also, if you wanted added insurance, you can add any bond builder to our lightning dust to give you added protection. So I'm going to drop that section. Helps as if you kind of comb that tease out before you go into the next section. And you can drop your next section. So this is going to be one of 2 foil placements. This I'm going to do a traditional weave because you can see there's quite a bit of dark in there. So I'm going to pick up from a little bit further down. What that's going to do is kind of split the section where you get kind of the maximum pickup and a soft blended grow out. Lay my foil underneath. And I'm gonna start with my 20 volume up at the roots and then grab for my 5 volume down towards the end. Now, with working with different textures, you wanna make sure that you have a good amount of lightener. If you can see, I'm really kind of spreading that lightener on very thick. You want that for not only good lightening, but also the speed of your lightener. If you're working with a thin layer, it's not going to lighten as fast or as strongly as if you were to lighten with a lighter application. Pulling that through with the 5 volume. Really making sure to saturate and move those hair fibers back and forth, especially towards the ends. You don't want it to be clumpy down there with a lot of hair laying on top of itself. Fold that foil up. And this next section, I'm just gonna pivot a little bit further back, and I'm taking more of pie sections rather than just going up straight, meaning that it's thicker towards the back of the head and thinner towards the front. Same thing here, I'm working with a lot of dark, but you can see that there's some existing highlights mixed in there. So we're just gonna be mindful of that when we pick our lightener and where we place it. 20 volume on the new growth and 5 volume. And here's my 20 volume. I'm working in the back of the head. Being sure to ensure that I'm pulling this section that is already very lightened away from that. Fold this halfway, and then I'm gonna go in with my 5 volume, isolating that separately. And folding this up. So this next section, I'm going to pivot more towards her part. Now this is a specific part pattern. So if you had someone that wanted to be able to shift their part, I would be working kind of in and out of this hairline so that it would be a little bit more universally soft, depending on where she wore her part. So this section is pretty light. So what I'm gonna do is actually drop some of the darker pieces of this section so that I'm only working with the light. And I'm gonna do that teasing pattern that we did earlier and really just do a dry balayage. This is working with my 5 volume. Now working with 5 volume in open air and working with 5 volume in a foil are two different things. When you're working with open air processing, it's definitely going to work slower. So that's why it's safe to do on some of these really lightened pieces, as you see here. I'm going to use my foil as a barrier, but I'm not necessarily gonna close it up. That way there's not lightener hanging in her face. So I'm kind of directing this to be kind of living on the side of her head. And I'll fold up that foil around her face just so it's not in her way. this. But I'm leaving that open so that it has open air and it's not gonna process too quickly on me. So same thing, here's my front point. I'm gonna pivot that and I'm going to be working with a thicker back section towards the front there. And this is gonna be our last foil. So same thing here, you can see we have a lot of light. So what I'm gonna be doing is picking up those light pieces with my foil comb. This is a really good way of isolating maybe a foil that you're touching up that you didn't do, or really isolating pieces that need to be corrected to get to that icy white blonde. That section's a little too dark. So we'll do the same thing. We'll give it a little tease. We're gonna use our foil as a barrier, but we're not necessarily going to close it up. And sometimes actually, like I'm gonna go in here a little bit close. You can see what I thought was light isn't necessarily light. So I'm gonna pull these darker pieces out of there. And if I really wanted to bring those into the really bright pieces, I would go in and separate those separately with my 20 volume. This is a great way of maintaining your blondes too as well. Over time, blondes tend to darken or dull. There's a lot of contributing factors that go with that, is that toners don't last forever. And there's always some underlying warmth that you're fighting to create that nice icy white blonde. This is a gentle way of kind of making those pieces pop and retoning. I live in a very dense mineral water area. A lot of my clients have well water, which has a lot of minerals that can make the hair deepen and also appear brassy over time. So sometimes we need to do this quick little like pop around the face or in certain areas just to brighten them so that we can retone them to that icy blonde. Okay, so it's been about 20 minutes, so I'm gonna be checking my foil here. So what I'm doing is I'm really kind of wiping that lightener off so I can get a really good look at how my lightening is going. So as you can see here, there's still quite a bit of yellow left in the hair. So I'm going to just reapply that. And this time, I'm gonna close up my foil just to get a little bit more of an accelerated rate of lightening. Let's check our second one. Looks pretty close, but I'm gonna give it a few more minutes. So I'm gonna re-saturate that. I never rinse out my lightener bowl until I'm all the way done with the lightening process, because sometimes I might need to pull foils and, kind of smush through the ends just to get a little bit more pop on some of those pre-lightened pieces. So I always keep my lightener till I'm into the toning process so I don't waste anything. See, like this guy is exactly what we're looking for. So I'm going to wipe this out so you can see there's barely any yellow. There's still a little yellow present. Like I said, you don't want to go past the pale yellow because you will be compromising hair. When someone lightens hair to really white, it might stay there for a little while, but you really compromise the integrity of the hair. So this is a perfect example of what pale yellow looks like. It has a teeny bit of yellow, but it doesn't look necessarily yellow. Does that make that pretty clear? That's beautiful lightness. Okay, let's check this guy. 9 times out of 10, when your formulation didn't work for your icy white blondes, it's because you didn't get them light enough, which just takes patience and time, and everyone lightens a little bit different. See the difference between that? Actually, this would be a really great comparison. See the difference there where you can really see the yellow in this part, where this definitely is that pure lift that you're looking for. So we're gonna let this just continue. Resaturate this guy. And sometimes working on coarser hair or really thick hair, sometimes you have to go in and reapply your lightener halfway through. Or if you're working with pre-pigmented hair where they've already have permanent color on their hair, sometimes just resaturating halfway through the process is going to help you immensely. A little bit more of the same, so we're just gonna resaturate here. And making sure when you resaturate, you're not going higher than you already did with your lightener the first time. Otherwise, you're just gonna be creating more warmth at the top of the section. And that will put you into a root smudge scenario, which isn't the worst place to be, but then you're just making more work for yourself. Let's see what we got here. That's really close. Actually, let's just wipe this whole thing out. That's really close, but I think that just needs like a couple more minutes. Dry balayage. Both sides. We'll let that sit for about 5 more minutes. So we have our lightener rinsed, and you can kind of see that there's still quite a bit of yellow in this hair. Really, with mannequin hair, it's really hard to get to a level 10, but this is a good representation of what a 10 looks like and what a 9 looks like. So we're gonna be using levels 9 of Colors by Gina two-tone. Okay, so when using our curated colors, which have a level attached to it, so this being a level 9 B or Ash series, I recommend that you mix your toners 1 part color to 3 parts 5 volume color producer. Colors by Gina is amazing in the fact that it's very pigmented, but when we're toning, we want to be mindful of that, and so we dilute it just a little bit more. So this is our 9B. I'm going to be using about 5 grams of 9B and about 10 grams of our 9V, which is our Violet series. And since we didn't get all the way to a level 10, we're mixing those 2 level 9s together, where if you did get to that perfect 10, our 10.21 or 10 VB would be another really great option for that really bright icy blonde. Perfect. So we're going to mix that really well with a whisk and then apply it to our mannequin. Okay, so this has been on for about 10 minutes, and you can see that it's starting to neutralize some of that warmth. The one thing that I would say for sure to always do before you rinse is to take a piece and wipe it all the way out to see really what the tone you have. So you can see that this toner still has some work to do. It's still showing some yellow. So we're gonna go ahead and go in and resaturate that. And let it continue to process for probably another 10 minutes, because that's what it's showing right now, that it'll probably need another 10 minutes. Okay, so this is our finished product. I'm gonna kind of move so that the light picks this up. And I blow dried the other side of the mannequin so you can kind of see perspective of what cool looks next to warm. You can see that this is a lot cooler. You have some of those icy white blondes that we're looking for. It's really smooth and blended. Those beautiful pops of cool toned highlights. It's interesting how cameras and pictures pick those up. So they pick them up kind of differently actually. But if I pull these 2 sections next to each other, you can really see the difference. Nice, cool and icy, where warm always looks brighter, so that's something to keep in context when you're talking to your clients about cool toned opposed to warm toned. Warmer tones will always appear brighter, even though this has just as many highlights as this side does. They're just a little bit more blended and cooler. Thank you guys. Thanks for being with me today. I appreciate you. Hopefully you learned something here today, and I hope you enjoy using Colors by Gina like I do. Have a great day. Bye.